The story begins in Shaanxi Province, Jinyang City. In this old medical clinic, a physician was checking the health of the old man. The physician said that the old man has a tumor, and she was asking the old man how his headache was for the past few days. The old man answered that it got worse, but he thinks that he can still endure it. The physician said straight to the point to the old man that although his inner body is protecting his blood vessels for now, he will soon lose his mind from the unbreakable pain and not be able to wake up one day. He was guessing that there is no need to return for his treatment anymore and saying thank you to the physician for everything she has done to him. The elder was saying goodbye to the physician and said that if she has time she should come to the Lu family for a meal sometime. The physician seemed to have something to say for the elder, but the elder didn't recognize her. Elder Lu was thinking that he needed to start sorting things out. Everything he built in his entire life, his family which was the Lu family as the precious will continued by his son and his grandchildren. The elder was saying that it was a shame that he won't be able to see his youngest granddaughter, Seol, grow up. A special child born with the immortal sound body constitution, a talented child who will definitely bring glory to his family, when she grows up. He was now arriving in their compound. When he opened that gate he smelled blood. There were people chatting around with something. Elder Lu was running and moving away all the people that blocked the way. When got inside, there was a large number of dead inside, and he was asking himself what was happening. Everyone is dead, all of the dead people were his entire family. He was crying of pain he felt and of what happened and was asking himself of who would commit his family with such a heinous deed. The elder cries heavily, he has lost everything. The people were chatting that the Lu family doesn't have any enemies, and they were asking why it was happening to them. The elder reaches a knife and wanted to commit a suicide, and the people were running toward him and they were saying that if he would do it who is going to avenge his family. The elder said that he cannot avenge because he was old and sick, it's all meaningless for him. He was saying that he would rather take his life right away and join his family. Then he heard a baby who was crying. When he opened the jar he saw his granddaughter Seol. Tearing. And he was shouting that Seol was alive, and he was running inside and was thinking that this must be the work of those bastards who wanted to eradicate their family and they will definitely come back when they get to know Seol was still alive. And the elder was asking a favor to everyone to help him bury his family. Although he wanted to do it with his own hands he have to leave as soon as he can and he was shouting that with everyone witness, he swear to the heavens, before he die the family heirloom, fire dragon divine spear, red with the blood of those bastards who made his family like that, he Lu Jinshan, shall never close his eyes. They were in the forest flashing. He was saying that it has been a few decades since he last used his body lightning arts. Every inch of his sick body was screaming, and suddenly an assassin attacked him and he bent down. The assassin was fast and his movements were quite simple. Since he still has a long way to go, he quickly takes care of it. The sound of his back was cracking, and as he expected his body can't handle the same martial arts skills anymore. And the elder was saying that if he had been 10 years younger, that third-rate bastard would have been dead already and at any rate Seol's safety takes priority for now. And he was thinking that things will get dangerous if the companions of the assassin will show up. And he was running away from the assassin and the assassin was behind him. He was asking the bastard even if he was an assassin, didn't he have a shred of compassion left and is there a need to harm a newborn baby and an old man like him? The elder was thinking that it was disadvantageous to keep running away in his condition and in that case he needed to fight because it was the only option. The assassin was saying that if he doesn't get rid of the elder with one hit, he will be the one who suffers. The elder was fighting back with the assassin, then he roared like a lion that hit the assassin so badly. He was using the family spear technique, he used an extreme flash, and the assassin got thrown away in the big tree. He slaps the face of the assassin, and as he expected he doesn't recognize the face and he needs to find out who's behind it though. The assassin has no condition to answer his question. The tattoo on the neck was the only thing he can get, that unusual dragon tattoo. The baby was crying maybe because of surprise, and the elder said to his granddaughter that there is nothing to worry about because he will definitely protect her and was smiling in front of the baby. And Seol was smiling at him. It was night and they were at the mountain. The elder was cooking dinner for Seol because the baby might be hungry. Although he took some cow milk and household goods in a rush from the nearby village, who would have thought he would steal something that he never did in his life? The milk was ready and he fed the baby, and Seol was drinking all the milk and she was happy because he was full now. Then suddenly his tumor got triggered, he felt a headache that he never felt before. He was shouting in pain, because it got worse. Then he remembers about the physician who told him about the unbreakable pain he would feel. He was calling Seol, and his granddaughter was crawling towards him. And suddenly he remembers about the poison that the physician gave to him. Since a medicine would no longer work for him, the physician gave him a nerve suppression pill. The physician said to him that he would use the poison to fight another poison, because the poison of the nerve suppression pill will suppress his tumor and will prolong his life. The poison was a drug used to torture prisoners, by causing extreme pain without killing them, and even a strong martial artist would feel pain as if the entire body was coming apart. If he doesn't suppress his tumor right away with the poison, he will die in front of his granddaughter. He can't die and leave Seol all by herself. Then he takes the poison. He fell asleep with the pain he felt. When he woke up he wondered how much time has passed. And fortunately the poison seemed to have subsided, for now he lives, and still he doesn't know when his headache would come back. Even if he survives the poison from the nerve suppression pills, there is a limit. He has to stay alive at least until he can ensure Seol's safety. He made his body reconstruction to make his body that can cure the tumor and protect his granddaughter from danger. The reconstruction of the bones and flesh in one's body to create a body best suited for performing martial arts. In order to unclog the governor and conception vessel for body reconstruction, a total of 180 years worth of inner QI is needed. His inner QI is about 150 years worth from now. And he was asking himself if he can hold on with his body, and if he can train it may take years, or even longer than that. He was saying that until yesterday he had no regrets about life, but there is only one thing on his mind now. Lu Seol's grandfather, Lu Jinshan, would never die. From the mountain, they arrived at the village. He's been eating grassroots for the past few days, and they were lucky they found a village. He was asking Seol if he must be hungry, and said to wait a bit longer, and now that they arrived at the village they can finally fill their bellies soon. Then they smell something delicious. They walk forward to the people who was cooking some delicious food. The guy was asking who is he, then he answered that he was just a hungry traveler. The elder was thinking that these people must be members of the beggar sect. He was looking at the knots around their waists. One of them was a first-rank disciple and the other two was a second rank. It was not some food he needed, but he might even be able to gain some useful information from them. He was asking them if it was okay if they could share a bowl of food for him. The guy was saying he lived to see the day when a noble person like him would like to try to eat their lowly beggar's food. They asked him to sit first, and said that their beggar sect isn't that stingy. And as he expected, the beggar sect was truly trustworthy. They were running at the back and telling the elder to wait for a moment, and they will bring the food over right away. At the back they were talking and suspected that the elder was Lu Jinshan from Lu family. They were talking about the outfit of the elder and the baby he was carrying at the back of him. And they were planning to catch the old man, and the guy was telling them that is it possible because he heard that the elder was a quiet expert in the past, and said that nothing to worry about, because in just one look and he can already tell he is just a bag of bones. They were thinking that the elder probably won't even have enough strength to swing his weapon anymore. When they finished talking, they were back at cooking, but unfortunately the elder finished all the food by himself. And Seol was enjoying the food too, and it felt amazing. The elder knew what they were planning about, and they were about to attack the old man, but the elder said that they just needed to think that this was an earlier trip to hell. And simply raised the spoon and blocked the attack of the man. There was one behind him, but he just tapped the forehead with the spoon and the man got tumbling on the ground. The last one was trying to attack him, but he failed and the older one held him in the neck. And the elder was asking him, did the beggar sect order them to do it, and are they also the ones who ordered to attack his family? And if they don't tell him the truth he will rip him to death right there right away. The one was shouting that those are misunderstandings, they were not related to the culprit who attacked his family, and that they were simply following the alliance's wanted order. He was asking about what alliance and a wanted order they said. The man showed him a piece of paper with his face on it, and it has been said there that he was the patriarch of the recently destroyed Lu family. He was shocked and angry, asking why would the Murim alliance issued some kind of nonsense. He was at the forest forming his body and strength again. He was guessing that Murim alliance may be related to his family incident, or someone with a high position within the Murim alliance was pulling the strings. And in that case his enemy may be the Murim alliance itself, and even if he devote the next 5 years to achieving the body reconstruction, it is no different from using a rock to hit a boulder. However, he needs to endure it. If it becomes clear that the Murim alliance was the one behind his family destruction, even if it is a mountain he will not give up until he completely shatters it. he said, and crashes the big stone in front of him. However, there is one question that lingering in his mind: why would the Orthodox sect's Murim Alliance, who have been advocating righteousness, do such a thing? And suddenly Seol was crying. Then he saw that Seol wasn't drinking his milk. Then Seol threw away the glass of milk. Then he caught it, but Seol didn't want to drink the milk. And suddenly he showed his granddaughter a rabbit skewer food. Then Seol wanted to eat it. The elder doesn't want to give the child food because she cannot eat it because she doesn't have that many teeth. Then he tells his granddaughter that if he can speak grandpa he would give it, but as he never expected, Seol can say grandpa but not that completely. He was shocked and said that it was impossible. He was thinking that his granddaughter was able to speak already, and was amazed because she was growing at an unbelievable rate, and was saying that being born with the immortal sound and body constitution truly makes all the difference. Then he gave Seol a piece of meat, and they were now finding some ingredients to her porridge. And since he doesn't know how far the wanted poster has been distributed, they need to be careful so that they would not get caught by other martial artists. And at a good time, there was an ordinary woman who seemed to be passing by. He excuses the woman and asks for some food or porridge to feed the child, and the woman gets pity on the child and she decides to give the child breast milk because it was needed so that the child could grow up healthy. And the woman suddenly asked him to turn around for a moment, because she was curious as to why would a noble person like him that late at night on the deserted outskirts of a village. Then he answered that his granddaughter couldn't even finish drinking her mother's milk, and he's been in a foul mood having to steal cow's milk in order to feed the child. But suddenly he turned around, the woman was running away carrying the child, and he chased the girl and attacked it using his rod, and he got the baby back in his hand. Then when he looked around he saw his face and the baby in a poster on the wall. And it says here that he was kidnapping the baby girl and carrying it with him, and whoever rescues and brings the child to the Murim Alliance will receive a big reward. Then he was thinking that if Seol wanted to take in the Murim Alliance, it means that it's not just martial artists who are dangerous people, but their wanted posters might have been posted all over the Shaanxi province. These three people were talking about the elder and his granddaughter, and saying that the elder are wanted everywhere and asking what in the world was happening. They heard that the Liu family was a prestigious family though. He should have grown old gracefully, and not ugly and crazy like that. The elder said to himself that he valued honor more than anyone else all his life, and to think he ended up being wanted by the world as a murderous demon and a child kidnapping trash. The three were saying that not long ago they heard that the great Bayuk family in the nearby village was also attacked and wiped out, and it said that they were found dead overnight. They were talking about the great Bayuk family, and their family was even bigger than theirs, and also they have a lot of first-rate masters though. The strange part is they couldn't find any of the infants' corpses, and there are many people who claimed that they saw the culprit take the babies away. The elder was thinking that isn't a coincidence, they must be the same group who attacked his Liu family. And he was saying that what's more, that not just anyone can wipe out a family as big as the great Bayuk family overnight. Asking himself was it the work of the Murim Alliance, and asking why. Back then, people definitely made a lot of fuss. As the rumor spread that his granddaughter Seol was born with the immortal sound and body constitution. And come to think of it, that the Murim Alliance sent them some elixir to strengthen Seol's QI as a gift, saying that it was a happy occasion for the whole of Jianghu that Seol was born with the same constitution as the Sword Empress, the greatest expert in history. The Murim Alliance was well aware of Seol's existence. And in the end those bastard goals were to mercilessly kill him and his family members and take Seol away. He was so angry, and even if he really fell into a state of QI deviation and became a madman and killed all of them. The three feel the elder at the back, and when they turn around the elder disappears fastly. He was flashing through the roof of the hammock, and saying that he cannot control his anger for a moment and almost fell into a state of deviation, and how foolish it is. If he had seen blood at that moment, he would have turned into a madman, just as those bastards from the Murim Alliance wanted. He looked at Seol and said that his granddaughter was truly a bundle of luck. They were still finding a place which was safer for them to live, because after learning that the whole world was targeting Seol and him, they needed to go and find a safer place that no one could find them as soon as possible. 2 months have passed since then. They were in the middle of the forest and they saw an abandoned house that looks no different from their palace, and there is even a yard for a well for them, and how lucky they were. The place seems empty for a long time, the furniture is also in good condition. And they saw a precious-looking jade box. He was guessing that the box has any accessories that can be sold for money. When he opened the box he saw flying needles inside of it, and it looked like some inner QI expert must have lived there before. At the wall he saw a 7-string zither hanging. He was guessing that the person who lived there was no ordinary person. It was night. He was cooking food for Seal, because he knew that his daughter must be starving now. Seal was very good at speaking some words that he copied into his grandfather. Seal was so happy eating dinner. The elder remembered his youngest when it was young because it was just like Seal the way she eats. And after spending his whole life practicing martial arts, and now he was raising the child, he finally understood how hard his daughter-in-laws must have worked. He was saying in his mind that he should cheer them on more often when they were still together, because who would have thought that he would lose his chance so soon? He was crying. Then Seal saw it and said to his grandpa the word cry, and the elder said he was not. It was the smoke that got into his eyes when he was cooking and ran outside to turn off the furnace. He was looking at the moon and was asking how embarrassed. He can't believe he'd shown such a pathetic side in front of his granddaughter, and he was sick of wandering around all the time. When he found out the conspiracy of those Murim Alliance's bastards, all he wanted to do was to wipe them out. However, revenge can wait. Right now the most important thing is to raise Seal to be healthy. He was thinking, since the weed field in the yard is quite fertile, the well was nearby as well. And it was perfect for growing a vegetable garden. He was planning to plant a lot of vegetables for Seal. And when he was doing his work, his back got hurt and he heard Seal was in his back copying him. When he turned around he was amazed because Seal was already walking on his own. It was night and Seal was sleeping. He was thinking that she must be really tired from taking his first steps. He was going outside to hunt for some meat tomorrow for Seal. He was flashing around the forest to find some meat. Wild animal senses become more sensitive in the dark. He was searching in the forest quietly using his body lightning. He was guessing that there must be a big elk around, and if he would let it, this could ruin the garden he worked so hard to cultivate. And he was tracing around after its territorial marking caught it. While he was roaming around he saw people talking in the middle of the forest. Other than him and Seal, there are people living in those kinds of deep mountains. The people were talking about the toll tax from those escort bastards. He was guessing that the mountain is a den for bandits, and he was still listening to the people talking. He stared that hard and said that the mountain was Seal and his home. He needs to draw the line before they get involved. Then suddenly the people heard him roaming around, and they said that it was a rat roaming around, and if it won't come out they were going to kill it. And he was standing in the dark and said that that's not how they should talk to an elder, and aren't they going to come and say some greetings to their new neighbor? The people said that the elder must have been crazy and got abandoned with his own family, and said that in just one look they can already tell that he was insane. They said that their Black Mountain Blade owns the mountain, and if he still wants to die a natural death, he needs to get lost quickly before they change their mind. The elder was laughing and said that the mountain has no owner because it belonged to nature, and he said that they need to go back and tell his bandit leader, and an old man has just moved into a house down the mountain. Staring at the people with anger and saying that don't even set their foot near the place, unless they want to see blood. They were saying yes to the elder, and they didn't know that the elder was playing with them. The one of them leaps high and tries to attack the elder, but he was disappointed because the elder just flicks his finger into the sword and the sword got shrunk and the man thrown away. The next man was attacking him. He slashed his sword in front of the elder. He think that the elder was dead because of what he did, but unfortunately it was not. The elder uses his Lu family's heaven and earth palm and hit the backlighting strike, and the man was hurt. And said to stop exaggerating. And suddenly the ground was shaking and the trees were shaking too. All of the birds were flying around because of the shake. Although he wanted to fix their manners, he would let them off since it was their first meeting. But a big man appeared in their faces, and it was the vice leader. The elder said that the big man doesn't like his own sophisticated type, and it looks like he has learned some martial arts skills. The big man was asking the man if they were arguing with the old man. The big man tries to split the head of the elder, but the elder uses the first movement of the Lu family's heaven and earth palm, which was the traceless destruction. And the big man got thrown away high in the air and crashed into the ground. They were shocked and staring right through the elder. They got afraid of the elder, but suddenly the elder felt that his tumor got hurt again and he can't collapse there because Seal was at home on his own. He took the nerve suppression pill. And the three men got a chance to attack the elder because it was unconscious. He was beaten not just once but so many times. Because of what they needed, he lost his sight and got black out in front of them, and also because of the nerve suppression pill he took lately. He got tied up and suddenly he woke up and asked how much time had passed. He was still thinking about Seal because it was all by herself at home. He was now facing the bandit leader, and the elder was angry and asking him why they spared his life. The bandit leader was playing with him. He was saying an apology to the elder, but the elder knew that he was playing with him, and he is not so free to play with the bandit leader. He must return to Seoul right away, but he was locked up in a steel chain, that it wouldn't break unless with a weapon imbued with internal arts. The bandit leader was still talking to him and still pleading with the elder and saying apologies. And the elder said that if the bandit leader was sincere in saying sorry, they need to release him first, and the bandit leader ordered his man to release the elder, and the elder actively relieved his anger and kicked the bandit leader away. And as the bandit expected, the elder has an extraordinary amount of internal QI. And at his back a big man was attacking him too, and the big man crashed into the ground because of the strength of the elder. He trampled the chest of the big man and flew high on the roof, and there are so many bandits better than he thought. The bandits were preparing a launch to the elder, to make the elder fall. But the bandit leader was shouting not to shoot the elder and to let him go, and the elder was running away because he was still thinking about Seoul in their little home. The big man was asking the bandit leader why he just sent away the elder just like that. And the bandit leader said that the elder was truly incredible, and as he expected, he was a master. He was saying that the fate of the Black Mountain Blade was depending on the old geezer. When he arrived at their home, he was shouting and found Seoul, then suddenly he heard Seoul crying and found him too. And he heard that Seoul was croaking. He didn't know that he heard it was a frog. The elder was shocked and asked how his granddaughter caught something like that, and said that Seoul is pretty talented. But the three people were following him, and kneeled in front of him saying sorry and pleading to forgive them. Also the bandit leader was there to return his spear, and said that it looked like a precious weapon to him, but it fell off where he collapsed. The bandit leader said that the elder will be going through many inconveniences living in rugged mountains, and it seems like he even has a young granddaughter with him, and wouldn't it be nice if neighbors living on the same mountain helped each other. The elder came forward to the bandit leader and said that they must be thinking that he didn't know about their pretty tricks, and since they messed with the Wudong sect, their destiny as the Black Mountain Blade is just like a candle in front of the wind. The bandit leader must be trying to use him, who seems to be a master with ties to martial arts, to somehow prepare for a subjugation match. He was angry and said that if they were trying to play a sloppy trick, they needed to step back right away. The bandit leader said that he understands and is pleased to forgive him if he was rude, and if the elder needs anything, he can find them in the mountains anytime. They brought a bag for him for an apology. Seoul was checking the bag what's inside, and Seoul got a snake, and he said that no matter how good it was for improving resistance, and asking how could they keep the snake in a bag but still they left some meat and other things to eat, they're still not completely rude after all. Both of them had a good meal. It's been a while since he felt that full. He can finally feel like he can live now. But this isn't the time to be leisurely, because he never knows when he might collapse and fall in trouble, so he'll have to do QI breathing control whenever he has time, because he must achieve complete body reconstruction as soon as possible. He must hold on at all costs. He can do it until he can protect Seoul and avenge his family. Seoul was copying him again, and he said that it was right, it was better to start training his internal arts as soon as possible. The younger she is, the less turbidity there is in her body, so the effects are doubled. While he was at the back of Seoul, he was shocked because Seoul has no turbid energy in her blood vessels. The blood vessels through which energy flows are wide open. That means the speed at which her internal arts accumulate is dozens of times faster. Since there is no blockage in the flow of energy, there will be no hitch when performing martial arts. The process of accumulating true QI in the QI center was by passing it through the entire body's bloodstream and accumulating it in the QI center again. Seoul has an unbelievable absorbing power, because she was accumulating internal energy close to 20 times the internal energy that can be accumulated through one heavenly cycle. Then he stopped scanning Seoul for now. He was sitting outside and he said that it was hard because he was lacking in energy and had been just a bit younger. While he was still drinking, he was thinking that no matter how good the wild ginseng wine and white snake are for his energy, did the mountain bandits think that he would fall into their traps? While he was eating the white snake, he was saying that is why the world was better even if one has rolled in a pile of shit. He was going to take his last shot, then suddenly he saw the moon sparing something down in the middle of the forest. He was so shocked he thought that he's just drunk, that's why he was seeing it. He wanted to see it closely, then he run fast in the forest, as if being possessed. What he would find after chasing it, he was thinking that it was something from a legend that he had heard from adults a long time ago. When he was in the middle of the forest he saw a hazy blue fur, an animal that has eaten more than 1,000 people over the past 1,200 years, a man-eating wolf with blue eyes. When the blue wolf turned around he was hiding in a bush, and asked that Shangshi's mythical creature flew all the way to Yangzhou Mountain, and he was thinking if he is in the mountain with that wolf he must make a choice. Whether to abandon everything and run away from the place together with Seol right away or to kill the blue wolf at all costs. And suddenly the blue wolf found him hiding in a bush, then he used Lu family's heaven-earth palm, the fierce dragon grappling strike, and the wolf got sneak away from him. He said that the head of the wolf was like a lump of iron, and it's too difficult to fight for it with his bare hands. The wolf simply stood up as if didn't take any of the shock. The elder said that it was troublesome and asked why he had to meet this kind of wolf when he don't happen to have his spear with him. The wolf was running away from him and it was heading down into their home, and he was guessing that the wolf got the smell of his granddaughter. And he was running fast too to kick away the blue wolf from their little home. Then he got fastly inside of the house and he got his powerful spear. He was teasing the wolf to come to him again, and they were staring at each other eye to eye, and suddenly the blue wolf obediently withdrew. He was shocked because there is no way the blue wolf to never give up on the prey it set his eyes on. He was thinking that the blue wolf was definitely hiding somewhere looking for an opportunity, and will aim for Seol's and his life. He can't leave Seol alone now even for a moment and fight just like yesterday, because it was too dangerous now. They were just barely tilling the field and house, and was asking himself where do they go after abandoning the place. And come to think of it, that those Black Mountain Blade bastards would be in danger too, at least warning them to watch out before leaving will be the right thing to do. When he arrived at the mountain, he thought that it was too strangely quiet, and it seemed like the blue wolf had already been there. The bandit leader saw him coming, and he said to the bandit leader that he came to warn them, but it seems like he was one step too late. And the bandit leader said that it seemed like the blue wolf had set its eyes on their place. The elder said that the wolves don't do that kind of a thing, and said that the bastard isn't a beast but a demon. He was going to leave, but the bandit leader called him with his full name, and he asked the bandit leader if they saw the wanted flyer too. And he answered yes and said that the elder was the family elder, the sole survivor of the Lu family. They were aware of the circumstances going on in the world too, and the Murim Alliance must be looking for the elder too. They asked the bandit leader why they aren't snitching on him. They may even be able to put the resentment against the Wudong sect to rest. The bandit leader said that unlike the wanted poster saying that the elder was a madman who fell into QI deviation, what they see is a fine old man, and they thought that they were playing a dirty trick too. Moreover, the child that was kidnapped isn't the granddaughter that the elder adores very much. He said that they have no plans of selling off innocent elderly and his young granddaughter just to look good to those bastards. They were pleasing the elder to help them. They don't even wish for his help with the Wudong sect. At least the blue wolf. The elder said that they need to capture the blue wolf first. He doesn't want to leave the home he worked so hard to build either. The elders order them to mobilize all manpower to prepare water, tree branches, and straw bales. And one more thing, he needs someone who will take on an extremely important role. He needs someone who is so plump and meaty that their juices would explode with just one bite. The bandit leader was asking how many days they have to prepare. The elder answered that it would happen tonight because the murderous ghost can't wait for a long, and will be that bastard's last walk. The night came and the big man was guarding in the fence as their bait for the blue wolf. The blue wolf was coming towards them, and the wolf struck the big man and was thrown away and crashed into the ground. The wolf didn't know that there was a trap where he was standing, so he fell into the hole and shot many archers. And they hole a water body instead of spears, and they can tie down the blue wolf's feet even if it's for a moment, and that time get as much blood out of it as possible. That still won't kill the blue wolf. In the end the wolf would climb up in the spit, and the elder will use his spear to attack the blue wolf, and he would be the one to finish it. The bandit leader shouted to all the bandits to close the hole, and the bandits were rolling some logs to cover it. The elder was still fighting with the beast. Although it's not fatal, the whole body of the beast was injured. Since they were falling into the narrow pit, at best he could struggle with his narrow paws. The hole was fully closed, and the bandits were asking if the fight of the beast and the elder was over. When they open the hole, they cannot see because it is so dark, and they smell some blood. The elder seemed so tired and got hurt fighting with the beast, and his body was full of blood. The bandit leader was calling him, and he looked up and said to get him in there and pull him over, because he was dying of exhaustion. And they were happy and yelling with the elder's victory, because they knew that he could do it. It's been a while since he felt like he first came to Jianghu when he was young. They were back in their home now taking a rest, and he was so glad because they can continue staying in the house. He was holding a shiny and so bright, and it's clear that it is the blue wolf's inner core, although he can gain enormous inner core left behind by the spirit creature upon its death. As a side effect, it may fall into the state of QI deviation or die instantly. He was saying that there is no way he could gamble with his life now, and he should carefully make a decision to use it when he really needs it later. And suddenly Seal woke up and was calling him. Seal was thinking that the core that his grandpa was holding on is something to eat for. And suddenly he feels his tumor aching again. He needs to quickly take the nerve suppression pill. He took the nerve suppression pill and got kneeled on the floor. He was so soothing taking it. He wanted to take away the core to Seal, but unfortunately he got knocked out in the middle. And Seal was sitting in the side and eating the blue core. When he woke up he was asking himself how long he had been passed off. Then he saw Seal was eating something, and Seal said that it was delicious, and the elder was shocked because he knew that it is really dangerous for Seal. He pointed to the back of Seal 3 times to spit away the core, but he was disappointed because Seal did not spit it away and got inside of her whole body. When he was scanning Seal he was asking how, because her dantian should have exploded and taken her life by, and was asking did Seal immortal sound body constitution neutralize the inner core's toxicity. And however if she doesn't absorb it completely, she would die. Her conception vessel, the impregnable fortress vessel, has been unclogged. The toxicity of her inner core has disappeared and was uniting with Seal's constitution, and was radiating true QI. And even her governing vessel has been unclogged and her middle dantian has opened, and in the case she was on a body reconstructing. She was now a child that has been born and is being reborn anew. Seal managed to absorb all the true QI into her middle dantian. She is a bit different from before. She was asking her granddaughter if it was all right, but suddenly was running around the house and he couldn't believe it and asked himself again how a kid can barely walk and start running around in their little home. Even he, who spent his entire life in training with his inner QI, couldn't achieve body reconstruction, and who would have thought that Seal would be able to achieve it first, as he expected from her extraordinary granddaughter. The mountain blade brought them meat again, even though they don't have enough to eat. They were cooking the meat and Seal was still Seal running around, and he said to his granddaughter to take it enough and don't wander too far. While he was cooking he was thinking that it wasn't the time for the Wudong sect's punitive force to arrive. He wanted to help the bandits, but still who is he to help them when he has his own problems to worry about? And suddenly Seal was running towards him and crashed into the ground. And he didn't know that Seal fell asleep after running around to her heart's content. Even if she has undergone body reconstruction, she's still a child. Although it is normal for him to give up on achieving body reconstruction, at his age in order to protect Seal he will never give up. It was nearly sunset and he heard something in the forest. He was thinking that the one of the 9 great sects, one of the great clans, Wudong sect, was coming. Although hearing the names of the sect fills him with anger, since they are the great force within the Murim alliance, which is suspected of being the main culprit of his family deconstruction. Even if he is lucky enough to help those brats drive the punitive force away, the Wudong sect will keep sending stronger experts. And nothing good will come out of his interference.